Hola clase. Today we're going to learn a little bit about superlativos. We're going to take a little break from the comparisons that we were dealing with earlier, and we're going to move on to these. And what are superlativos? They're superlatives. That's basically a type of comparison that uses adjectives to compare three or more nouns. And they are often used to talk about the most or the least of something. Now, to form a superlative, you are going to be using a formula that is similar to the one that we used for the comparisons of inequality. However, this formula is a little bit different. You're going to be adding a definite article, and we'll only use K if you want to put a verb after the superlative. Otherwise, you'll be using de. Now we're going to focus mainly on using de and probably get to K and some other class activities, but that's what we're going to do for this lesson. To form a regular superlative, there is a formula that you would use. So typically, you're going to be using a definite article. So your choices are el, la, los, or las, plus a noun, plus más or menos, and plus an adjective. Okay, so this is the formula that you would be using. Some examples would be la mujer más bonita, the prettiest woman, los estudiantes más populares, the most popular students, el hombre más gordo, the fattest man, el carro menos caro, the least expensive car, las chicas menos atléticas, the least athletic girls. Now, if you take a look, the article that you choose is dependent upon the noun that you have. So if you look at the first example, you're referring to a woman. The word in Spanish is feminine, and that's why you have la. So la is your article, mujer is your noun. This time we chose más, and then your adjective is bonita. Now notice bonita has to agree with your noun. So here, because again it's feminine and it's singular, the adjective also has to be feminine and singular. Okay, so let's take a look at another example. If you look at los estudiantes más populares, okay, so you have los estudiantes. Estudiantes is plural, and here we're referring to a group of students. So we're going to use los, and we chose más, and then populares. Popular is considered to be a gender-neutral adjective, so we don't have to worry about the gender there. But we do have to make it plural, and since estudiantes is plural, that's why we have populares. So that's that example. If you look at el hombre más gordo, okay, hombre again, you're referring to a man. The word itself is masculine, and it's singular, and that's why you have el. We chose más again, and gordo because gordo has to agree with hombre, and that's you have the fattest man. So you kind of can see how these superlatives are formed based on the formula that we're using. Now, if you want to put any of these in a sentence, you could add de. De itself means in, on, or of, and then you could also include a group or a category if you want to be more specific. So here are some examples. So, mi madre es la mujer más bonita de la familia. My mom is the prettiest woman in the family. Manuel y Juan son los estudiantes más populares de la escuela. So Manuel y Juan are the most popular students in school. So if you were to look at the sentence, the formula actually starts with la mujer más bonita. Now we added de and la familia to be a little more specific, and to be even more specific, I added my mother. I told you exactly who I thought was the prettiest woman in my family. Okay, so those are just two examples of how you could create a sentence using these superlative formulas. Now, just like other things we've come across, there are some irregular forms of these superlatives. So some of the irregular superlatives that you're going to see are listed below. But basically what they are, they're just superlatives that use adjectives that have single word superlative forms like mejor and peor. With these, you do not use más or menos. And then if you take a look at the list, you'll see some of the irregular superlatives that you might come across. So take a look on the left-hand side. You see a list of adjectives. For each adjective, to the right you will have a superlative form. And then to the right of that you'll see what it means in English. So start off with viejo. Viejo, if we were to use a superlative form, it would be mayor, and the meaning would be oldest. For grande, the superlative form would also be mayor, and in English it would mean biggest or largest. For joven, the superlative form would be menor, and the English is youngest. For pequeño, you would use menor, and in English it would mean smallest. For bueno, the superlative form would be mejor, and in English it means best. For mal, superlative form would be peor, and the English is worst. So, just like the regular superlatives had a formula, the irregular superlatives also have one. And the basic formula is your definite article, which again is el, la, los, or las, plus your superlative adjective. Now, notice at the very bottom I have a little note that says, contrary to the formula used for the most and the least, mejor and peor are usually placed in front of nouns. And again, you'll see some examples of this on the next slide, but that's just something you want to make note of. Okay, something that is important. And here are a few examples of the irregular superlatives. So the first one is Carlos es el mejor jugador del equipo. So Carlos is the best player on the team. Miguel es el peor jugador del equipo. Miguel is the worst player on the team. Margarita es la hija menor. Margaret is the youngest daughter. La señora es la mayor del barrio. The lady is the oldest in the neighborhood. El golf y el tenis son los peores deportes. Golf and tennis are the worst sports. Las fresas y las cerezas son las mejores frutas. Strawberries and cherries are the best fruits. Now, I wanted to point out something that I may not have mentioned earlier. These irregular words that we're using, the irregular superlative adjectives that we use in each of these superlatives, do not have to agree in gender. But when you have a noun that's plural, you do have to make it agree with that noun. So the only thing that you have to do to make it plural is add es. Okay, and that's it for this lesson. We will be going over a lot of different practice activities in class, some games and some quizzes and some other activities where you get to practice each of the things that are discussed in the video. As we go through each activity, just make sure you ask any questions that you have. If you need anything clarified, again, please feel free to ask me, and I'll go through step by step with you how to correct it or how it works. All right, adios.